fill your boots. We're all fruit on Tootsie Train. Tootsie Train. Hi, it's Gordon. Remember, it's not queer to hell, it's straight to hell.
Hi, it's Sean. And remember, it's not the straight bill, it's the Bible.
Hi, it's Anthony. It's Homo sapien, not heterosapien. Welcome to Tootsie Trade. We're back, bitches.
We are back, and we are joined by two very special guests. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, I'm Simon Carmichael, they Emmons, and Counselling Manager of the Rainbow Project.
Hi, I'm Leo Lardy, and I am the Sexual Health and Advocacy Coordinator at the Rainbow Project.
That was a mouthful.
I know.
I'm getting used to it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Gar.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
actually, this is where I'm going to get messed up. I was going to say guys and then try to say girls, and then it went in between.
Misogynist.
I'm really sorry.
Folks,
It's
just
every-
always remember, that's the one safe,
Usins.
all-inclusive one.
Usins.
Usins. Thank you for coming on, yes. We used usins last week.
Thanks for coming on, Usins.
So yes, as you told our audience there, you work for the Rainbow Project, and we are, of course, running our Pride fundraiser, raising money for the Rainbow Project and for the Belfast Trans Resource Centre. So we're going to get to a little bit more about what you do and your work as well, but let's find out a little bit about yous as well. So obviously it's Pride themed, so whatever order, whoever wants to go first, tell us a little bit about your coming out story, how you became fabulous and queer.
Okay. Look, said I should go first.
Off you go.
So I am a transgender man. I kind of was different than the typical stereotype of transgender people. I think there's a lot of conversation about people always knowing that they were trans. And I don't think that's true for everybody. And certainly it wasn't true for me. I honestly, one day I woke up and I was on a train to a job in Carrickfergus. And I had just had an interview with the Rainbow Project. And on that train, for the first time ever, I thought, I'm a transgender man. Never considered that before. It literally came out from the clouds. They just parted the sky, and suddenly I knew.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but thank you, Carrickfergus.
Thank you, Carrickfergus. It was a really enlightening train journey.
Wow.
So I think I had only started to meet trans men or knew broadly what transgender men were maybe like the year before. I had never really heard of it or never
Was this
experienced it.
exposure or age? Was that? Or
I think it was both, because I mean, I was in my 20s at the time,
Yeah.
and I would have gone to like the LGBT youth club, but there maybe would have been one trans guy there, and he was very different than the way I am, because obviously
course.
everyone's different. But I didn't really see myself in him, and there wasn't a lot of exposure at all. I think I often talk about like Tumblr, the blogging website, because I think that might have been the first time that I saw trans men as often and as frequently, and all different shapes and sizes. But I remember being very like, I was such an ally. You know what I mean? I kept being like, oh, I love looking at pictures of trans people and reading about their stories because I'm an ally. And then it clicked. So I realized I was trans. I came out to most of my friends at that point pretty early on, because when you're very blessed to have majority LGBT friends, it's usually not a huge deal.
it can be on the table to talk about.
Yeah. And they were kind of like, I think at that point I'd hung around with almost entirely gay boys, so they went, that makes sense.
Okay.
There's only one reason you'd be able to stick being with us this long. Like, there's a gay man in there. And I came out to my family maybe a year later, and they were really supportive and lovely. And at the time when I came out, I think I was the first transgender person to work at Rainbow Project.
Wow.
So that was a big responsibility, because like the trans community has existed in Northern Ireland for a really long time, but it felt like there wasn't a lot of like very notable trans representation in the community.
Yeah.
Like it was, I don't want to say it was hidden. There were people there, but I think that being at Rainbow, and especially as like understanding of trans people, really blew up in the media and in the community. I kind of needed to be there to respond to it and to educate. And
Just even within Rainbow Project itself, it would have been a favourable thing, so that it's something that we come up about anybody from the LGBTQ community is to know someone is to understand it on a deeper level,
Yeah.
and know that human experience behind the letter or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah. People learn how to be empathetic when they realize that, you know, a transgender person isn't this terrifying other alien that you might assume it to be, because especially right now the way things are. But yeah, it really thrust me out into the open as like a representative of the trans community. But it was a learning curve for me, but I love doing it, and I think being trans for me has been really just such a joy. Like, even when there's big challenges, whether that's like accessing medical transition, which can be quite challenging, or how things have gone recently in terms of like transphobia in the media. At the end of the day, the people in my community, whether they're gay, straight, cis, trans, man, woman, non-binary, old, young, I feel like I've been supported by so many people.
That's gorgeous.
So
It's a great story.
yeah.
And what do you, I was just retouching on that point, do you think that being around Rainbow Project really helped you through that journey? And do you, also vice versa, do you think like your own personal experience in being in that environment sort of helped them to understand better as well?
Yeah, well, I do like to point out that like the balance of trans people in Rainbow has certainly exploded since I came on the scene. I can't move for transgender and non-binary people. Yeah, honestly, I think I'm always really grateful for the cisgender gay men that I worked with and that I met, because I was so overwhelmingly accepted by them. You know, I remember not being allowed into a male-only venue at one point, and my grandmothers, as the bouncer called them, made a huge stink and a fuss about it until I got let in. They always made me feel like I was part of the gang, like that I was a gay boy just like everybody else.
Yeah.
I got to have the fun and the giggles and the laughs. They showed me so much kindness and warmth and just crack. Do you know what I mean? I never felt like an outsider amongst them, and I think like I feel like I grew up in the family that really just pushed me forward, so that when people are maybe a bit of a dickhead now, I'm like, who are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't represent anybody, mate. Go away, you know?
Yeah.
My grandmothers will beat
a
you
gaggle of gays will keep you correct.
Yeah,
like, do you know what I mean?
exactly. He's like,
Yeah.
have you ever tried to be transphobic in front of like 5 really drunk 6-foot gay men? Don't do it. Don't do it.
Red to filth.
Yeah, I'm 5'2", but nowadays,
Yeah.
if I'm drunk, good luck. Good luck.
It's part of the reason why people say about my wit and drag and stuff. It was just brought up by savage gay men at house parties, basically. Do you know that way?
Can I ask a question just before we go any further? For all of our listeners who may not know what the Rainbow Project is, can you just explain it for us, please?
Do you want to talk, or am I good?
The corporate answer is the Rainbow Project is a 30-year-old charity originally set up providing support for gay and bisexual men during the HIV crisis. But we are now a fully LGBTQIA plus inclusive, offering services, policy and advocacy to LGBTQIA plus people living in Northern Ireland and their families. I think that's correct.
That was
Someone check
very
the
well.
website.
This is spelled off.
So on the
The non-corporate side.
yeah, like as a human experience, what is it for people?
Chaos.
No.
Chaos.
No, it's
How many people's involved in it? Like running it, all of that sort of stuff.
staff
Over
is
30?
something at the moment.
That is a lot.
The largest LGBT charity in Northern Ireland. And as Leo's pointed out, the imbalance between trans and cis people, about half of the staff team are trans or non-binary in some way. So
Well, the history of it is that to be trans is to be an activist, really, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I
by
think
hook or by crook.
yeah.
Yeah, we generally, like, the idea is that we are basically there to support LGBTQI plus people, and to a lesser extent their families as well, with whatever they're going through, whether that's like something like sexual health or the rapid HIV and syphilis testing, free condoms and lube, so many of that, like the co-cultural counselling, peer and social groups, because I think like LGBTQI plus people, like we all come from different experiences and have different issues, but something that always kind of remains the same is that many of us have spent a long time in our youth feeling detached from the world, isolated from having friends, family, for being our true selves, and that always has an impact on our mental health and our ability to like live full adult lives. So we're about helping people kind of come into themselves and feel really confident and feel really passionate and powerful. And like half the time it's also like, it's great to be able to go to a service that understands what you've been through and how it changes you. But it's also nice just to meet mates.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's lovely to go somewhere and get talk about sexual health with a big guy who gets it, you know?
Yeah.
It's nice to to just feel like I don't have to put something on or explain something. Like, they just get it. You
Or
know?
judgment.
Or judgment.
It's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
shame,
yeah.
like, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
a lot with it.
It always reminds me, I was thinking about something whenever I was getting like a medical examination, go through like a questionnaire with the doctor, and the doctor was like, oh, blah, 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 do you use contraception? And I was like, no. And he was like, why not? Panicking. I was like, I don't need to. And he was like, why not? I was like, because my partners are all same sex. And he was like, oh, that's not even an option on here. He was like, I'm so sorry. Like, we need to now revise our forms to be more inclusive.
Yeah.
So I just schooled him that day. I felt really powerful doing that. But
So what about
Sorry to
yourself,
make that about
then?
me.
What about you, Simon?
Well, I am a openly cisgender woman. That's not true.
I was not correcting you. I'm saying nothing. You be what you want to be, babes.
No, I am one of the more obscure kind of trans people. I broad strokes non-binary, trans femme. I mean, I'm not stupid. I look like a trans woman. But much like Leo, I kind of always knew something was up, but not quite what. Like, as a child, I kind of always knew I was never going to be a man, but didn't really know what else that meant. And I think something that I'm very aware of now is that there weren't really services for trans and gender variant people of any shape or form. You know, as I said, the Rainbow Project was set up for gay and bisexual men. There was a gay and bisexual women's charity, but for those of us who lie between, there wasn't really anything out there, and there wasn't a lot of visibility. I think I never really had the classic experience of coming out so much as, you know, I was getting slurs shouted at me in the street before I kind of knew that actually maybe they're right. You know, maybe the bigots are correct. By my mother.
the bigots force you out.
But yeah, like my mentality growing up was there were binary medical transsexuals, and you had the surgery, and that's what made a person trans. And at the time, that was kind of reflected in medical gatekeeping. So I was like, well, that couldn't be me then. Yeah. That's not me. And I unironically would use terms like trans adjacent, because I was very aware of like common lived experience. And then non-binary as a term was kind of coined. And it was like, okay, that feels vague enough to be appropriate. Do you know, people were like, oh, is that you? I heard it's something about someone's not a man or a woman, and you're the person that comes to mind. It's like, oh, thanks for that. But yeah, it was one of those.
Shite sandwich, basically.
What are you? In corporate, but it was one of those sort of things of like people would ask like genuinely ask like, how do you identify or what are you? And it's like, well, gender is a social construct, and you would just talk at them for 20 minutes and the eyes would glaze over. But I think it's kind of obvious that there are some people who fall under the trans umbrella that don't kind of do the classical one side to the other. I sometimes wonder, am I just too ADHD that I kind of got bored halfway and stopped? Don't see anything through to completion. I thought, fuck it, that'll do. But yeah, very much like, oh, a lot of people I follow are trans, a lot of content I watch is trans, and I keep wanting to buy hormones and procedures, but I'm not a transsexual, you know.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. A lot of people probably don't even know that existence of, you know, some certain trans people maybe only don't even or absolutely complete the whole surgical medical route. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, or that it's even spoke about so often, because I think it confuses the mainstream media to the point.
Yeah. Counting past 2 is really difficult.
Yes.
I think a lot of people assume that, you know, that if you're transgender and you are going down like a medical route, that the gold standard for everybody is to be like a cisgender person, to have the exact same body, to look to dress the same way, to act the same way. But really, when you're trans, it's not about acting like somebody else, whether they're cis or not. It's about doing what feels really comfortable and confident for you, and that's different for everybody. So sometimes people do ask like, oh, are you going to complete transition? And I'm always kind of like, well, I have, because I've done what I would like to do.
Yeah.
I am a complete man. It may be a bit different than your version, but I'm very happy with it. So yeah, I think it's not an all or nothing. It's a pick your own fighter.
Pick your battles.
Pick your battles. You're gonna have to. Yeah.
It's a bit of a Mr. Potato Head. Pick your parts.
Mixed potato head.
potato
Yeah, mixed potato head. Gender non-specific
Yes,
potato head.
yes. Oh God, I walked
It's
into
not
that
just
one.
me.
But yeah, and going back to what we were saying about whenever we were younger, there wasn't really anything like that. It was sort of difficult to kind of know, like, what could you even be? You know, everybody's a man or a woman, and that's kind of it. And it's like, okay, well, we'll let you change, but this is what that looks like. And I think we see a lot of that now with sort of younger people, and that in the same way that some people maybe would have come out as bi before coming out as gay, I think some people kind of do non-binary as a soft launch for a transition,
Okay.
but not everyone does.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's a kind of more obvious now that people kind of know what's out there. I mean, there's no services to do anything. Trans healthcare doesn't really function at the moment, but it's nice to know that in theory you have options that you just can never use.
It's
I
kind
think in all of
We
it,
have
no
touched
matter
on
where
that,
you
so we
are,
have.
yeah, some of these things we spoke about, but I think it's the understanding and the knowing within yourself is really the biggest leap, isn't it? It's like that acceptance and journey and through to where you're most happiest. Obviously, for some people, it is the medical hurdles they want to get over as well. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think that, like, yous can all understand. Yous are all gay, right?
Yeah.
Sure, you're not both. That's true. I think, you know, I always think of it like, you know how straight people often imagine that the end of a gay person's struggle is coming out.
Yes.
And then after coming out, it's just pride parades, rainbows,
Yeah. Poppers.
and queers. Yeah, I was gonna say amyl nitrate. Yeah, we all, like, a lot of people assume that that's the end
Yeah.
of the issue. When for a lot of people, that's just the beginning. You know, you have to unpack all this homophobia you've grown up with. You have to deal with homophobia, whether it's like casual or like that very violent, direct stuff. You know that people getting thrown out of their houses or yelled at in the street, or is it that person saying, don't bring up the fact you're gay in front of the nieces and nephews?
Yeah.
I think it's really similar with trans people as well. Yeah, figuring out that you are transgender, it is challenging. It's also very rewarding because it's very nice to finally go, oh, that's what's fucking going on.
Yeah.
That's what the problem's been. But even after you do that, there's so much more to unpack. Like, even though I feel really comfortable and confident within myself a lot of the time, I still have to cope with like that feeling of transphobia, of feeling that I don't matter or I'm not as worthy as cisgender people. I have to deal with like the ever increasing toxicity to trans people. Like the idea of getting up in the morning and there's already 12 articles about people like me being dangerous or predators, or you know, sometimes at work, if there is a picture that we put up on Instagram or Facebook and it has a trans woman in it, believe it or not, there's going to be about 40 comments calling her a man, saying all these horrible things.
Yeah.
Sometimes when there's pictures of me, they tell me I'm never going to be a woman, and they don't realize that that's actually super affirming to me because they don't know, they don't understand the difference.
Well, there was that whole thing with the toilets, right? So there was like sending the trans men into the female toilets,
Yeah.
and the people, they hadn't took this into consideration,
Yeah.
which shows you the whole point of the argument was totally invalid, and it was just, oh, who can we weaponize against?
Yeah.
That's all it's ever been about.
Well, it's just it's funny because transphobia is just homophobia repackaged
Yes.
for the new century, but so much of transphobia is also like just entirely based on sexism. So people who are transphobic do not see me as a man, they see me as a woman. And what do men not think of as women? They don't think of them as threats. They don't think they're dangerous, and they don't care about them, let's be real.
Yeah.
But sexism says that men are dangerous, that they're predators, that they're violent. So because of sexism, because of transphobia, people view trans men as not an issue. In fact, we'll never get discussed in anything, which gets to the point where people don't even realize that the toilet ban would have people like me
Yeah.
going, the ladies, hi girls. But it is just, it's so interesting how connected all of these sort of like hateful rhetorics are, and how people don't try to unpack them a little bit. But
What's one of the main issues we face here in Northern Ireland for trans people?
I mean, you've had a few trans guests on.
Yeah,
We have.
yeah.
So I'm sure someone's complained about the trans healthcare in Northern Ireland.
We did. I was the first I'd heard about it.
Oh God.
And
it's bad.
I got activated.
It's
I
awful.
was so furious.
Yeah,
But that's my own ignorance. I didn't know that.
That's
But
fine.
when someone told me, I was like, what the?
Yeah.
So scream it from the rooftops. Say it again.
9-year wait list, and that's to begin an assessment process that could take more than 2 years. The assessment is built not to support trans people, but to make sure that no cis person accidentally transitions. It's very invasive. It's very demeaning. And it's,
Has there ever been any example of that? Like, for that to, do you know what I mean?
you can't be gay unless you pass a test that's done by a straight person in a clinician. And by the way, it's psychoanalysis, so you have to tell me everything bad that's ever happened to you. And by the way, all those bad things that happened to you, you've ever considered that that's why you're gay? Like, I won't get controversial, but it is messed up.
Yeah,
No,
the-
but
the-
do you speak on it? Like, because I think people need to hear, I always say I'd rather hear the ugly truth than a beautiful lie. I
Yeah.
think it's important just to say, this is what is really happening out there for
It's
people.
ripped the
do you know?
band-aid off, and especially for a lot of, I will speak for myself, white gay males who make up probably the majority of our community, or a lot of our community, need to know this information so that they can now become allies
To be better allies, I think is what
this
we
is
want.
it. So like, scream it, say all the stuff that you're not able to say, tell us.
Well, it makes it very difficult because, I mean, a lot of people are either having to choose privately accessing hormones, which is very expensive, hundreds of pounds a month easily, hundreds of pounds a month. So a lot of people have no money to pull together. But what's really frustrating, transition is not the be all and end all of being trans. It makes life a lot more manageable, definitely, for you, because you feel more comfortable. But the most frustrating thing about being trans, and as someone who has transitioned, is that before I transitioned, before I had testosterone, before I had top surgery, before I looked this fucking fabulous, I would go about my everyday life and be treated with doubt, with criticism, with anger. I couldn't go anywhere without someone. If I said, "Oh, by the way, my name's Leo," that's a boy's name. Why do you have the name? Oh, well, I'm trans. And then they would go into a tirade. Anything that I encountered and told people that I was trans, because I was very proud of it, and people have to learn, that caused issues, so much problems. And what's so funny is that when I started transitioning and looking the way I do, no problems. No one has any issues. I could tell, the scariest taxi man in Belfast that I am indeed a transgender man, and he will tell me that I'm an all right lad and I'm not as bad as the rest of them. But if I had not transitioned, he would think I was crazy. And so
Is that what people call like passing privilege? Like within the trans community, like if you look like you're fully femme, or if you look like you're fully masked, then you kind of get away with a lot more, or is that?
Yeah, passing would generally be when someone can't tell that you're trans.
Okay.
But in the direction of they are perceiving you as the gender that you want to present as. So they would see a trans woman as a cisgender woman.
Okay.
I think within the trans community in general, I think there's an understanding you can kind of pass without needing to look cisgender necessarily, that people can maybe tell that you're trans, but you just seem like a man or just seem like a woman, and it's enough for people to kind of treat you the way that you want to be treated and respect you in that way. But it can very easily descend into this idea of I am not good enough because I am trans. If they can tell I'm trans, there's something wrong with me, which sets very, very unrealistic goals. And we sometimes see people where they're basically convinced that as long as people know they're trans, there's something wrong with them. You probably know about internalized homophobia, but internalized transphobia exists along that same axis, where people, and I think
But
sometimes
that in a way seems provoked too, in a way, from other people's judgment on them.
like they almost like experience other people's judgment and then join in You know,
Yeah, they're
like,
like
oh, that person has misgendered me, therefore there is something wrong with me.
It's like certain gay men only identifying as very muscly, and that's their whole vocation, so that can be acceptable as, you know.
Yeah, and that could be the same as passing, that like if people can't tell I'm gay, then they'll respect me. And if you internalize that and run like along with that, you're effectively colluding. You know, and the reality is, like, you have to accept being trans just as much as you have to accept being gay. But I think transition as a concept sometimes builds that in, and I think the medical establishment of like the UK and the Western world in general has kind of, you know, insisted on that like you don't get to transition if you don't conform to a particular doctor's idea of what a woman or a man looks like. And thus you're being judged formally by a system, informally in all of your little interactions. You get why someone would look in the mirror and think there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, and even how the media portrays as well. I mean, not to bring this person up, but Caitlyn Jenner, you know, they got a documentary series for their, and then came out and did this whole photo shoot and spread, and obviously went to the complete extremes of getting everything done, and that sets that unrealistic expectation that that's achievable for everyone, because that was probably hundreds of thousands of dollars of
and access to everything.
plus access to
the problem
the
now, I
best services
think,
in the world.
is you have people who are struggling with their mental health and struggle with the idea of their gender, and then you put them on a waiting list for 8 years. Did you say 9
Easy.
years before you can even be assessed?
Yeah.
I'm trying to break this down simple for people. So before you can even be assessed, so there's 8 years.
Bear in mind, these
the
people are probably extremely broken.
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
our medical system is forcing these people to go through 8 years of mental torment. And I'm not saying that's everyone's experience, but it is a lot for people going through this. And then on top of it, you're put through the ringer for the lack of a better word, to make sure that you're not cis.
Yeah.
And by chance just mistakenly doing this. Like, it is it's idiotic. It is so frustrating for
the ironic
me.
thing, though, Leo phrased it as terms of making sure a cis person doesn't transition. But if a cisgender person wants gender affirmative care, they can get the same care without having to see a psychiatrist first. Breast augmentation, mastectomies, phalloplasties, hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah.
You can do exactly the same procedures, but you don't go on a 7-year waiting list to speak to a psychiatrist first.
It's all
you can just be sent to the surgeon or to the specialist.
And that's why it's so important that like places like the Rainbow Project exist, because, you know, obviously we serve the entire LGBTQI plus community, but when it comes to trans individuals, they are so used to being treated with doubt and criticism and cynicism that even when they do need to access services, I mean, I've had experiences myself where I went for a mental health assessment, an emergency mental health assessment. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good time. And I had a really hard time because the man made a really rude remark about, I sat down and he asked me, I told him I was trans, and he said, how do you have sex? Which is not on the thing. I thought, mate, friction, use your imagination. But that was the first thing he said to me.
I'm like, do you like it up the bum? Like, what's your issue?
Clearly you're not having it.
This is a medical professional.
A crisis mental health intervention. So this is very serious for me. And because of that was so, can you imagine? I felt like a freak show. So I shut down. I didn't want to talk. I tried really hard, but I couldn't. And at the end of the appointment, he then said, you're holding something back from me. I was like, yeah, sure. And then he goes, do you regret your transition? And at this point I was done. But so, and that's something that's crazy.
Name him.
Take him out. No.
I would have been so. I'd be like, I'm holding back fucking judgment.
But I couldn't even complain because I was so sick.
I know.
Like, you're in a position where you're so vulnerable, and you're just looking for help.
Wild.
And I'm a really, like, as things go, I'm a very confident trans person. So this happens to lots of people.
Yeah.
But that's my thing, is that trans people, you know, we have, you know, there's trans people who do not have as challenging mental health problems as others. Like, we're all different. Yeah. But if you have to try and access anything like mental health, sexual health, it can be very challenging. People can make assumptions about you, and they can close doors to you because of their assumptions. They're based on stereotypes. And Rainbow Project existing gives people an understanding of what is appropriate and best practice when it comes to those things, whether it's counseling or sexual health. But also, really importantly, like I always tell trans people that I meet, regardless of the age, the best thing I ever did for myself when I was coming out and figuring myself out was meeting other trans people. I feel like being with trans people helped me learn the language to describe myself. And it made me feel less crazy having other people around me. And that's what I really love about Rainbow is that there are places that someone at the very beginning of their transition or the very beginning of their understanding, or even just if they're quite isolated, can go and feel like they belong. They matter.
There's community for them.
Yeah. And
I think you had that already though with your youth group too, didn't you, as well? So it was something you felt natural in when you were going to access all this.
yeah, I mean, I was very special. I went to trans summer camps, which were short-lived but incredible, when I first came out as trans. And I often think that, you know, spending a week with 100 trans people probably did me more good than decades of therapy. But I think that we sometimes need permission from other people to love ourselves and to like ourselves and to see ourselves as important and valuable. And that may be, you probably all have an experience where a gay friend in your life, a gay person in your life was like, you are wonderful, or like you deserve to be here, and don't let that bastard say that shit to you. You know, we all need that person. And if you, especially these days when everything that ever is said about trans people is so horrible and toxic and mean,
it's so pointed as well, like the whole idea that you have to get the access and the help you need, or the understanding that you have to get that psych test whenever everybody else in the world out there is acting fucking crazy. We all need access to it. Like, it's not just for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody in the world needs some sort of mental health therapy at some stage in their life, if not throughout their whole life. So the whole idea that it's even pointed in that direction just feels fucking, do you know what I mean?
But it's not even that it's pointed, it's the fact that it's withheld.
It's
withheld to then give it to you just for a different reason, it seems, not to try and help or support or benefit you in any way. I just feel like it's so destructive, and I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that we all pay our taxes, including yourselves, and you can't access the same thing that I
wanted
can
to touch on something you said about the camps and things. Like, what do you feel like that was that What am I asking something funny?
No, don't worry. We've got a terrible sense of humor.
Right, okay. Oh, right, okay, yeah.
You know, the way it's going.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Like, that's fucking dark.
Yeah. That welcome. Yeah. You know,
but
I don't want to give them any more.
Yeah, the summer camps.
Summer camps, absolutely.
Yeah, summer camps, summer not. But basically, you said that was a big sort of profound experience for you. And what was it about that experience that you feel you got more out of than all the other things?
I think
there's something beautiful in that.
It was great. Oh, so fun. I think the first one I went to 2 in one summer. Trans summer, crazy.
Who organised them?
It was a bunch of it's just a bunch of regular activists. It was like a European collective of trans people who just got together and found funding, because this was 2016 and we hadn't decided to leave the European Union or that we hated trans people yet.
The old glory days.
It was the great days. The trans explosion of 2015. Everybody came out then. I think I had, now bear in mind, you know, I went to the LGBT Youth Club. You all know that I work at the Rainbow Project. I still had doubts about whether I was trans, mostly because I just never met anyone who was like me. Everyone I knew had like always known or acted a certain way or felt a certain way, and I just wasn't sure. And when I went to that trans camp, I mean, it was just people would be sitting around talking about their experiences, and someone would say something that would be like a private thought I'd had in my head for decades. Mm-hmm. And they'd say, like, there was many, when you're trans, I think people don't understand how many lists you go through in your head of reasons why you can't be trans. Okay. So, like, for instance, I didn't always hate wearing dresses. Mm-hmm. Neither do you.
Maybe it's
sometimes.
Maybe, yeah, it's
I'm
maybe
trying to get into one.
It's maybe the factory reset.
But, you know, you know, sometimes I enjoy makeup. Like being gay doesn't mean you can't be trans, but that feels like a problem whenever that felt like it was a thing. And people would say stuff about, oh, this is how I feel, and this is how I'm a man, or this is how I'm trans. And it would be just the most bizarre experience, because it would be things I would never have said out loud. Like stuff that had just been kept locked in for years. I chose my name at those camps, which is very nice. I think it was just...
Which is always a big moment for trans people.
It was
right?
great. I picked a great one, let's be real.
Well, it's my star sign, so
It's my star sign.
You're Leo too. That's up.
Triple Leo.
Triple Leo?
Yeah. Sun, moon, and name.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
When you open the dictionary, there's a picture of me under Leo.
Love.
But I think that it was just as well, I think, you know, just like probably when you came out as gay, I'm sure some of your mummies probably were like, oh, it's an awful sad life. It's a lonely life out there. It's going to be miserable. And I think I had kind of got in my head that being trans was going to be a real bummer. Like, it was going to suck. Sometimes it does. But I met so many people of all different ages and walks of life, people in their 60s, people who were 20, people who were 30, and they were all living their lives. They maybe some of them have jobs, maybe some of them didn't, but they had lives that were like full of passion and joy as much as there were difficulties. And I think being able to see all these people just live and like really live made me be like, well, it's better to live in the struggle sometimes than to shut down and never ever be who you're meant to be.
Love that.
It's like what we've been saying for nearly every episode, like visibility and community matters so much. Like being able to see, like I'm a gay dad, so like I was talking about bringing our kids to Pride, and I kind of had weird feelings about it, but then realised no,
it's important.
It's important for the younger people to see that you can have a family and it might look different or however that might be. And then the same for community. Like if I didn't have my friends when I came out, I would have really struggled because all my friends were straight.
Yeah.
And I was like a boxer and wasn't allowed to be femme and all that sort of thing. So it was like I would have struggled about it and have a great community.
We don't know that version of Anthony Carson, by the way, so it's bizarre to us. Whenever he talks about it, we're like, oh.
They're like, who's she?
Picking up on what Leo said about going to those camps and hearing someone else say that thought that you had privately you've never said out loud before, it's interesting working as a therapist with your own community, because you experience that in reverse, where someone will say the thought that they've never said to anyone else in their life before, and you're like, oh, we have a word for that.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, yeah, that's normal. Like a lot of us go through that. And the idea about lists of reasons why you can't be trans, a real historical problem with the healthcare system is that because people were expected to give a certain list of correct answers in order to access healthcare, a lot of people lied.
Yeah.
A lot of people would go in and perform a particular kind of gender and say they wanted certain things, because if they didn't give the right answer and the doctor like assessing you felt, I don't think their heart's in it, or there's something else going on here. Yeah, you didn't get anything, so people kind of would rehearse and plan the correct answer. And the real concern I have in that is that where do people get to talk about their doubts safely otherwise?
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
That's why you need your community around you.
Completely. You need somewhere where you can actually talk that out loud and run to completion. And like, I have clients that are like, maybe I'm not trans, maybe I am just a gender non-conforming, like man or woman, or I am trans but I can do this bit but not that bit, or I am trans and I'm just working out. But if there's not a safe space to talk about that and you're put under the microscope, and I almost feel I have to shout out that the current psychiatrist overseeing the service at the moment is actually probably as close to an ally as I think we've ever been. You know, she does what she can within the scope, but she's underfunded, and the system itself is set
But
up.
the fact that you're saying one, like you're saying she, and it's a singular person, is a disgrace. And there should be funding, and there should be more people doing this. And it's so frustrating, and it's the reason that I'm saying so frustrating is because we had people on, we had guests on last week, and they spoke about DIYing and about trans people who want to medically transition, having to access drugs online or through someone they might know and illegally. to just be themselves. Am I not allowed to say?
No, wait.
Well,
It's not all
it's
legal.
questionable. We're not
It's
gonna.
okay to buy. It's not okay
Yeah.
to sell.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Listen, touch get shot. Say
But
nothing.
also, like, it's Northern Ireland after all. But like, or the north of Ireland, I should have said. Speaking of trans issues,
You never know.
but it's just the health risks in that too.
Yeah.
You know, like at some stage that could go wrong, and it shouldn't have to be done. in
No,
the
it
first
shouldn't
place, do you know
be.
what I mean?
It shouldn't be the case.
But also, like, it just is exploring the idea of you know, every trans person has a different identity within their transness, and those conversations and awareness. It's important to get young people at that stage so that they can start and their exploration into their better understanding of themselves. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Completely, because even if they're not trans themselves, they'll meet someone that is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's the same for, you know, being gay or bisexual. That, you know, even if your kid isn't gay or bisexual, they will meet people in the world that are. You know, they need to know that these people exist, whether they end up being one or not. But obviously, if people know that it's okay to be that way, if they are, then they know it's okay to be that way.
Yeah, of course.
But if you grow up thinking you're the only one and like, what's wrong with me and why am I different, and you've never seen another person like you, how are you going to feel?
I know.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it's so important to remember, because I think a lot of people, you know, when it comes to, oh, what have I done? Oh no! Oh my god! I think what's really important to note as well is that, like, we think a lot about, you know, when we're trans people, so we're always saying like, oh, every trans person's different, every person's going to express themselves differently, identify differently. But it's also really important to remember that every cis person expresses gender differently.
Yeah.
Like, if even I got a bunch of, well, some, you know, there's tropes. Some of which we love, some of which we don't. But even if I got like a room full of gay, even just gay guys together, and we talked about what it means to be a woman, or what it means to be a woman.
But
Well,
we did have that
let me
conversation.
tell you.
Yeah, Shaka Khan.
Sean has expressed on several times he would love to be a woman for a day.
Listen,
Just to be an absolute hero, by the way, if everybody needs confirmation.
He says he would be bucked out.
You'd be disappointed, I'll tell you that much. But if you think of, even if you got a bunch of gay guys together and be like, what is a man? Or like, what do I feel like as a man? Even if you got them together and we're like looking at how they dress, everyone would dress differently, everyone would act differently. You know, I think a lot of people forget that, like, gender is actually like, it's actually like a fun thing that we're meant to enjoy and explore, and everyone goes through like their own journey with it. Like, you know, some gay fellas feel like they have to put on a big masculine air.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Well, you said you were a boxer.
A girl, I was 13.
I think sometimes you even get gay guys who are like, oh, I feel like I have to be more
Yeah.
feminine, because I don't, you know, it's not cool to be masculine. I think everybody plays around with gender, and I think we all, sometimes, I hate saying this, but I think cisgender people take gender way too seriously.
They're obsessed.
Yeah.
I think it's meant to be. It's meant to be a
Color-coding the
fun.
babies.
Yeah.
It's like a fun, natural thing, and it's different
If
everywhere
you look
go.
at kids, and as talking about factory reset, when I was a kid, I was just dressing up the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make me trans, but it means as a young human being with no external influences, I was exploring all the crayons in the box.
You just play.
You know what I mean? And that's what it is. I noticed with me doing drag, like they don't really care about what's behind all the costume. All they see is you can wear all of that together. Wow, like, you know, and I know that's yeah. I know that's about expression, but I do think that that's important for everybody to play with. Do you know?
So
Completely.
switching it up, like we've obviously talked maybe a little bit about the heavier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us some fab things about being trans.
Do you have any fab things? Or do you want me to go?
I mean, there is a subculture, you know, at the risk of saying every trans person is different, but also, like, most of us are walking cliches.
yeah, girl.
Okay. In what way?
Just, I don't know, I think because we all start feeling so different and so unique, and then you get, like, a bunch of us in a room, and suddenly it's like, oh, there's, like, 4 trans people. There's just, like, 30 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, a lot of us, I think, go through that sort of overly woke with like, well, gender doesn't mean anything. It's all this, that, or the other, and then also, but like, actually, just call me a woman. Do you know? There's a lot of weird tension between being very academic and very floral, and then at the same time, very like clear cut. This is what it is. A lot of us have very dark senses of humor, but I think you need that, especially now more than ever.
100%.
We might be particularly egregious
We're
examples.
awful.
We are terrible people, absolutely horrendous.
Well, they do say dark sense of humour is one of the signs of being highly intelligent, isn't it?
Better in a crisis as well.
Yeah.
Very quick to disregard the dead when they die in accidents.
Yeah.
But I think the simplest thing about queer joy as trans people is just walking into a room and seeing another trans person and being like, oh, thank fuck.
Sometimes
Your
I'm like,
shoulders
get out
dropped
of here.
as you said that.
Yeah, just like, oh, thank, and then seeing them looking the same thing backwards and that, are you? It's like, oh, God, and it's lovely.
I love dancing. I know that's going to sound like such a strange answer. I love dancing. And I think the most bizarre thing is that it feels like for most of my life, I walked with like 5 stones in my shoe. Everything always felt uncomfortable and everything felt wrong. And then whenever I started to look more like myself and feel more like myself, I could just be myself. Like previously going dancing, loved to dance, but it felt wrong. I could feel the weight of things, and now I can just go and do things and not think about my body.
Lighten your feet.
Yeah, and just go for it, alcohol or no. But yeah, I think I think my favorite thing about trans joy is just that it exists. It's really, really intoxicating. And I
remember we done a podcast before, and it was kind of your conversation about it and talking about trans joy. And at the time, it was kind of obviously there was a lot of that rhetoric was really starting to amp up. And then just hearing trans joy, I was like, oh, right. Yes, that's exactly what it's about.
It's I would say that sometimes it feels like I sometimes feel like trans people enjoy life so much more. I sometimes feel like we get really utterly passionate about stuff, and I think that we are really loud, rambunctious people, or like really wear a lot of loud patterns anyway, especially the trans guys. Love a Hawaiian shirt. Once you transition, you have to stop wearing them.
Even if they're straight, they're gay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's just it's just so lovely to finally be able to enjoy life. And I think it doesn't necessarily mean, obviously waiting to transition for those that want it is really challenging, but there is literally no better drug in this world than feeling like you know yourself and that other people know you too, and that you're not walking around with like a mask or a costume on. It's like your whole self gets turned up to 11 once you figure it out.
And I do think there is an element of cis straight people understanding that on a really base level, and there's an element of jealousy that their sort of life is structured and performative.
I think it's
gender.
performative. It's like
Do you
very
know?
much so like I have to be a certain way, I have to do a certain thing.
And I think
that's sad.
Has to be mentioned for the betterment of them as well.
Yeah.
Like stop subscribing to the fucking thing.
Just
and
be yourself.
Shake your shackles. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure you've had it a lot of times. Like sometimes if I go clubbing, like I know I'm real mask super boy today, but I wear a skirt, I have fun. But you've probably gone to a club and some drunk straight man or woman has come up to you and gone like, I just think it's so brave. I think it's so brave. I just think you wear what you want. And every time they do that, I'm like,
It's not the compliment you think it is.
Well, I'm like, you could wear this too.
You're complimenting me, but insulting yourself.
Do you know, you could also just wear the skirt, man.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I know it's that they're actually kind of uncomfortable and they're trying to make themselves not seem weird.
Yeah.
But like I agree with you. I think there is like
I think they want to wear the fucking skirt. Like
Yeah.
it's 100%. Like
Some
if
of them
you're
do.
like that as some, okay.
Some of them definitely do.
Oh, right, some of them definitely do. Okay, 100%, yeah. But like I obviously, but it is about expression, because I see it with drag and people, sort of fixed about how I'm expressing and performing and doing those things. And like you say, it's there for anybody to express yourselves during the day. I was always dressing different.
You told me I couldn't do drag.
Well, you specifically are. There's an exception to every rule, Anthony. But it's there for everyone, and I do think that sort of we seed of what we can learn from trans people is right in our faces. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like living authentically and figuring out no matter what that is, whether
Yeah.
it's gender, expression, sexuality, whatever, you know.
And I just think, especially like for LGBT people that might be listening that maybe are a little uncertain about trans or non-binary people, it's very important to look at some of the things that are being said today and realize how similar they are to what happened in the 80s and 90s. Teachers getting fired because they were gay, people asking if they'd be okay if a lesbian person was in the changing room, asking if gay people were competent to lead, whether gay TV shows or lesbians were allowed to be on television. This is not new. This is boring and old, and the only reason that they want you to hate us is because it's easier to take down you when we're gone. And and it is Pride season, and it's always really important to remember that the people that initially fought for the civil rights movement for LGBT people were trans sex workers who were homeless, who had nothing left to lose. So if you're a cisgender LGBT person in the room or watching at home, or even just an ally, you should come to Trans Pride on September 12th.
Get your shit together and start supporting.
Give us money and give us
touched
money.
on that too.
Come talk to the Rainbow Project.
We'll drop your PayPals in the episode.
Reparations.
Send in personally some money.
But yeah, I think
going back to that time, it's worth recognizing that like the Gender Recognition Act in the United Kingdom was originally in 1970. In the 1950s, the NHS were giving affirmative like hormones to trans women, but using blockers to castrate gay men.
It's
if rights,
Turing.
yeah,
Literally
if rights can be
fucking word.
taken off trans people that trans people have had for 50, 60, 70 years, your marriage equality that's less than a decade old can be taken off you too. If you let them take rights that have been enshrined for such a long period of time, you're undermining your own freedom.
Yeah, and even going back to like the Weimar Republic in Germany, Berlin was such an open place for sexuality, and
we're talking about how that's where the gay card came from.
Yeah, like that, it just gone.
I think that's why it's so important that like the LGBT sector in Northern Ireland and Rainbow Project exists, because the rights that we have in Northern Ireland have been incredibly hard fought for and won, but there is always people trying to pull them away from our fingers. And we are always campaigning for a better Northern Ireland for LGBTQI plus people, whether it's like trying to end HIV transmissions by increasing education and testing, whether it's making sure that there is an end to like LGBT hate crime by adding better classifications to reporting that hate crime, or creating better gender affirming care or relationship and sexuality education in our schools. Like being LGBTQI plus is not just about us as individuals and how we heal the hurt that society has done to us. It's about making sure that no one feels that hurt in the future, and that's really, really hard work. So if you've got some cash, we could do with it.
Yes.
Well, speaking of the cash, because obviously we're running our fundraiser, so in like quantifiable terms, if someone's sitting at home, they want to donate 20 quid, 30 quid, what are the everyday practical services that you offer people that they don't even know that you guys provide, because there's so many?
Well, I mean, 20 quid would buy me one rapid HIV test, which means that someone would get their HIV result in 10 minutes. £10 would buy me £20 buy 250 regular condoms, of which I go through about 50,000 a year.
Wow.
About 20,000 of those are Pride from you three specifically. £20 would buy us bus tickets for asylum seekers and refugees to come to social groups, because they don't meet people who are LGBT from their own countries, and it's really important for them. £20 would buy coffee and tea for a cancer champions workshop for people who'd been affected by cancer or lost someone to cancer.
So it goes beyond even just really queer specific things. So you actually do outreach to people who have other diseases. So everything. It's really expensive.
It would do a lot.
Wouldn't go very far with the counselling
They're
service.
expensive.
Unfortunately, counselling is expensive, but we're also the most in-demand service. We have our waiting list is unfortunately longer than I would like it to be, but that is because people don't feel safe going anywhere else. In terms of the long lines, what's causing that? Is it just you don't have enough counsellors, or just
enough
resources?
Just demand.
More money would help, though.
Money fixes that. Money absolutely fixes that. But I think it's still a bit of a damning indictment that like queer people still don't feel comfortable or safe going to services that are not explicitly for LGBT people. I mean, obviously, the co-cultural service we run, the staff have to be members of the community. You know, it's not just like enough to be an ally. We sort of joke that if I transition too far, my boss will fire me if I become straight. And he'll win in court. But the reality is that there are people that don't feel safe accessing other services. And a real difficulty is that some of them have very complex mental health needs that should be met in the NHS.
Yeah.
But they're on waiting lists that are like 1, 2, 4, 5 years.
They could be dead by the time they get the service.
Unironically.
So-
Unironically.
Don't buy that extra drink this weekend and give
Give
us
us
some
us.
money.
Donate.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I think it was Lauren last week was saying, you know, she had even went through some open services to the general public, and the practitioner was like, I feel like this is above my pay grade at this stage. So it's showing that even if you do reach out there, and because it's a very specific issue or better handled somewhere else, it's why we need more, would you say, more counsellors that are able to specifically deal with the issues within the community?
Completely. And I am, on paper meant to be building and delivering more training, but the service is so struggling under the weight of actual
pressure.
delivery. It's difficult to find time and make time for that.
Can I ask you, in sort of general terms, what it is you sort of do within that, in the one-to-ones? So if anybody's listening and feel like they could help with that, or maybe need it, or not to add more to your plate, like, but you know.
She's like,
Yeah.
stop saying it.
I know. I know. When we're asked, like, do you want leaflets? I'm like, why?
Never have to advertise.
You know, with that demand that we're struggling with. The thing about our service, I suppose, is that some people come in explicitly wanting to work on identity. So some people may realise that they are gay, they're bi, they're trans, and want a safe space to talk that through.
Yeah.
Obviously, for the gender identity clinic, the waiting list, as we've said, is 8-9 years long. But in some ways, going into a space that's not diagnostic, and potentially you might get a counsellor that's actually also trans, you get to talk to someone that you don't have to explain yourself to. You know, like a bigger thing I've heard from a lot of people is they go in and they say to their counsellor, I think I might be trans. And they're like, what's that? What does that mean? Is that where you have the op?
Yeah.
You know, you hear all sorts of weird and wonderful stories. But also a lot of people come where they want to work on the sort of same things that anybody would go to a counsellor for. You know, it can be anxiety, depression. There's been a real surge of people, I think especially post-pandemic, sort of exploring neurodiversity. I think a lot of people have kind of realised that whenever the structures that were in place kind of holding them together fell away, I think some issues became more obvious.
That adds up.
But also, I think a lot of people, just there was more information out there, and then the diagnostic criterion for things like autism and ADHD have kind of accepted that they don't just go away when you become an adult, whereas historically that was sort of the approach that was taken. But queer people are disproportionately neurodivergent, you know, both autism and ADHD
Really?
represented. Yes,
I didn't know
absolutely. Specifically...
Every single one of our friends are on that spectrum.
Yeah.
Fully.
Well, I love diagnosing people, but that's just to say that puts you on the spectrum more than
I would love to, but as a counsellor I have to be very careful about what I say.
yes.
But yeah, we find people in that double rainbow, as it were, where even if you kind of accept your identity as a queer person, you may find that you still struggle to function in a neurotypical world. So even if you are like, I know who I am, I know what I want to be, but why is everything so much harder than it seems to be for everybody else? And we sort of joke about the Venn diagram that like neurodivergent being queer is sort of focusing in. I think especially for trans people, there's a real thing around like, oh, well, they're not really trans, they're just autistic. And I was asked at a conference last year, someone was like, oh, what if they're just autistic? And
I'm sorry. I'm so
what if they're just diabetic?
What do you mean?
You know, like ADHD medication didn't make me cis. You know, like, it doesn't make sense. But it's like, okay, so now you're failing them on two fronts. Do you know, like now this person isn't getting help for practical needs in everyday life, and you're... Yeah, well, it can be. It can be. I've heard all sorts of things. But that double failure can leave people, you know, sort of feeling that not only do I not belong in this world because of who I am, but I can't even look after myself. I can't cope. And especially for a lot of young people we see, a lot of that is circumstantial. You know, like they've come into an environment where it's harder and harder to start a life for yourself. You know, if you are queer and your family aren't supportive, you're already starting behind your peers.
Yeah.
Queer people tend to hit sort of journey milestones later than cis het people because you have to take longer to figure out who you are. But then if you're also trying to manage autism or ADHD, you're also having to work harder to even try to keep up.
Yeah.
And you know, things financially are like horrible. You know, like from millennials onwards, people are worse off than their parents. So they're seeing people that had a relatively easier like trajectory in life saying, oh, just like write out a CV and give it to a shop and then you'll get a job that'll pay for a full-time mortgage, like a full mortgage. Like it's not like that anymore. So the world is getting harder and people are aware they're being failed now. I suppose, and it's that double-edged sword that the internet, for all its flaws, has enabled people to find each other and share information. The problem is that shouldn't be all there is.
Yeah, it's like you can't sort of, you need people need assistance and whatever it is, especially if you're getting like that double rainbow that you say you don't, and any sort of neurodivergency doesn't allow you to have a focus sometimes, so it's hard to pick which issue to deal with first, you know.
And sometimes it's very minor things that just knowing that it's okay to think and feel the way you do helps you work out what battles do I need to pick. You know, like you might be able to get rid of anxiety and depression. You can recover from both of those things. That's actually my big message. You can get rid of anxiety and depression. Don't put up with them your whole life.
Yes.
But you will always be autistic, you will always have ADHD, you will always be gay, you will always be bi, you will always be trans. You have to accept the things that are part of who you are and take as much control and responsibility everywhere else in your life as you can. And the only way to do that is by building resources, finding peers and finding support.
Yes.
And it's not your fault if you're dealt a hand where that isn't there from when you grow up. It's not your fault you're born into a family that's less than helpful, economic circumstances, social circumstances. But it's your life. You've got
And
to
also,
do the best you can.
like the neurodivergency thing is, I grew up with a sister who had ADHD her whole life, and it was like, that's just her, Anna. Like, because we thought like that was a personality trait rather than the world not understanding that girls had ADHD at the time, generationally. But once she got sort of her diagnosis and was able to get the help and support, she can see her life already be more in structure and mentally healthier and happier and comfortable. So I feel like for, like you say, for gay people or trans people or whoever, it's sometimes the notion, that's what I was going to say, sometimes the notion of neurodivergency isn't like, it comes with a stigma as well, you know. Whereas I grew up with a sister with ADHD and some of the things she's fantastic at is actually an A+ for the divergency, do you know what I mean? Because it makes her super driven and creative and all those wonderful things. But the lack of understanding was the issue in the long term, you know?
Completely. And you're always telling people about what a good example I am of someone when you manage their mental health, that I used to be rolling on kitchen floors at house parties and stuff. and now I'm
Simon is my greatest project. I made this. Yeah. I'm responsible for the counselling because I helped you get better.
But there's a reality to that like it doesn't have to be as difficult as it is now, but you can't do that if you don't know what it is. My hot take is that
a hot take.
I think queerness is neurodiversity. Like to be gay, to be bi, to be trans. Like, well, it's obviously in your brain because where else would it be?
Yeah.
But that's not a disease. We're not broken. That's just a difference in how we are, and one that maybe comes with some adversity, but that's because of how the world is structured to support cis-het people, whereas we create spaces where we're allowed to play to our strengths rather than have to fight them.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider myself queer, and it was only later on in life. I'd say I'm a gay man, but I'm also queer because I grew up that way. But one of my hot takes is that I think straight people can be queer. Is that too much?
Listen,
Can't be exclusionary.
Maybe a little gatekeeping's not terrible.
You just mentioned Trans Pride, 12th of September.
Yes, I did.
Right. What is the importance of our allyship and the rest of our community turning up? what do we need to do? What do we need to bring to the party?
Because it has got big, right? Ryder Square, big stage.
Give us a rundown.
So the plan is to march this year because I hear that's what people like to do. I hear that's.
Do you have a flag?
traditional marching.
What colour your sash?
Blue, pink, and white. Maybe yellow, black, and purple.
I'll
if
make
we're
you
lucky.
some if you don't have any.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, prides have been kind of blowing up all over Northern Ireland at the moment. I hate it and I love it because it means I'm working a lot throughout the year. But yes, Trans Pride is Saturday, this 12th of September. We do have an Instagram page, Trans Pride NI. I say we because I run it, not Rainbow Project. I think that's an important distinction because people often think Rainbow Project equal pride. No, we just be at all of them. We just really love prides. It's just great crack. We love going to places where everyone's drunk and not drinking. Oh,
Can't think of
so
anything
much
else I'm
fun.
doing.
Love talking
And
to
filling
people.
their pockets with
Love
condoms.
talking to people about Doxy Pep when they're on cocktails. But yeah, we meet at Ryder Square. Hopefully it'll be a march this year. Keep on to that. We're looking for all types of groups and organizations to join us for a march. You do not have to be non-binary or trans or gender diverse or intersex to come. Allyship is so important. Let's be real. Like, the trans community is probably maybe 1-2% of the population at best. That's a guesstimate. That's quite a lot of people in Northern Ireland. I'm bad at maths. What's 1% of 8 million?
Like
80,000. That's a lot. It's enough people. 1% is a lot of people, but it's not 99%. And the way in which the trans community have been just completely dogpiled on. If you had told me in 2015 this is what life would have become for me and my people, I would have laughed in your face. I was like, it's only getting better. So there are people growing up today, very young trans people and people coming out later in life who are under the belief that someone like them is better dead than alive. It's so important that you as an ally show up because obviously great crack. Don't we love to march in Northern Ireland and listen to Kylie Minogue?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a party, it's a celebration, I'm assuming. Or is this a protest? Both?
No, both.
Oh, what's a protest?
Oh,
party
wait,
too?
if you can't have a revolution without dancing, don't bring me to the revolution. We do have a lot of we usually have drag, we have cabaret, we usually have some music acts, but it will be a protest. But I think for me, Pride, as much as raising visibility of the issues that are still affecting our community and demanding for change, for me, Pride has always felt like a moment of resilience, a shot in the arm for people who need it most. And sometimes that person is me. I need it, but I can imagine there's lots of people who need to step out into the city centre that day and see thousands of people when they themselves have no one in their life. So please do come. It will be fun. Rainbow Project will be there because, as said, we love a pride. So I would always say to people, if you're interested in being an ally, especially if it's at your workplace, Rainbow Project does do sexual orientation and gender identity awareness training. We never yell. We never get mad.
No.
We're here to listen and learn.
Yeah. That's for corporates and things.
Corporate, your organizations, corporate businesses.
Great.
We love that
Reach
business.
out to Rainbow.
Simon, you had mentioned also that this could be us in 10 years. They could revoke our rights. They could take our rights away from us, as in cis gay men or
everybody else.
everyone under that. So we need to come together and we need to support our trans brothers and sisters.
Completely. And honestly, I think Northern Ireland has been a bit of a strange little bubble where, we're still trying to get past homophobia. And I would almost say that transphobia hasn't really caught on as badly over here because people remember, it's still too fresh in our minds of the things that politicians and community leaders have said about cis gay men, so that memory hasn't left. But if they can take rights away, what on earth is stopping them? We're in a bit of an unusual situation because after the Supreme Court ruling and the Equality Act, we're lucky because we never had the Equality Act here because we're so behind, but it meant that there weren't rights to take off us. So it's not clear what the landscape is going to be, but obviously there are parties on top of the hill that are mobilizing to just make things awful for trans people because that's what's in vogue. And I would also point out, we mentioned earlier about the asylum seekers, but there's also been that real pivot away from traditional racism, if there's such a thing, to focusing on asylum seekers and calling them illegal immigrants as part of that same movement of looking for a smaller group. And I think that kind of touches us personally, because from our service users, they are some of the most vulnerable people in this country because they are both queer and asylum seekers. But we can't let any of it slide. Like, if you start making exceptions for, like, these people deserve dignity and respect, all right, well, you can have them. Well, you can have them. You're next. It's just as simple as that.
I just sometimes think I am lucky to come from a family that has always loved and supported me, but I just sometimes think of conditions where, you know, somebody has strong opinions about this because they've been fed it in the media, and then all of a sudden they get exposure to it through a child, a nephew, a niece, a friend, and then they realise the harsh truth that they were mobilised and used as a pawn in normal society and their political views. And all of these stuff, they shouldn't be political. It's autonomous human beings behind it. Yeah. Stay out of our fucking bodies. Stay out of our minds. It applies to everybody. And you know what I mean? That just remember that. And that's always the thing I just hope for, that people start to catch themselves fucking up.
It's never political for the group you're targeting. It's political for you because you can walk away from it. But when it's your rights, it's not political.
I love that. Love that,
So get your holds to Trans Pride. September 12th support, and if you're not going to be there, send them lots of money.
Yeah, or the Trans Research Centre, because that's always a good gig.
Yes, absolutely.
But just find a trans person, hand them the
give
20
money,
quid,
trans
please.
Yes, if you see a trans person, give
me
them
and
money.
Simon a tenner. That will buy us one cocktail each.
We're going to take a wee break, and we'll come back with the last wee wrap up for you. Okay.
We're
Prim and
back.
proper,
Yes, we just had a
girls.
quick top up of the beverages, and yes, we started talking about this offer, so we're just going to offer because we're on radio too. So yes, we're just going to touch straight into the little bit of work that goes behind. So you mentioned that you are a, let me try and remember, sexual health services coordinator.
No, close. Sexual health and advocacy coordinator.
Advocacy
It's a mouthful.
coordinator.
Thank you.
Yes. So talk to us about the sexual health situation in Northern Ireland, and how do people keep themselves safe?
So we had kind of mentioned, you'd asked about what the HIV rates were like, and I had said that generally they've been low since PrEP was introduced. So PrEP's the medication you can take regularly that essentially eliminates your risk of contracting HIV, and that's available for free at the Gum Clinic across Northern Ireland.
Can I just say, what a fucking incredible achievement to have that now.
I
Like,
know.
That was a death sentence, what,
I
30 years
know.
ago? Yeah. It's amazing.
And like the medication now for HIV, like somebody who is diagnosed with HIV today has the same life expectancy as someone who doesn't have HIV.
AIDS is virtually gone now.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
and a lot of places are now stopping using the term AIDS and instead using later stage HIV, because for a lot of people there's still the opportunity to heal and to continue living. But you know, it's a long-term condition, but it's very manageable now. And I would just saying, like, I was just giving props to my friends at the Gum Clinic, because I think there is, we often assume that the people at the Gum Clinic, especially because a lot of women work at the Gum Clinic, a lot of older women work at the Gum Clinic. There's some hot, sexy men too, if that's your thing. It's my thing. Stay away from them. But we often assume that, you know, the person who's testing us at the Gum Clinic is going to be like prudish or embarrassed or make us feel guilty or judged. And that's just never been my experience. I think, you know, for
Can
us,
I open up a wee bit about that? Because
Yeah.
I had my personal experience with that was what I realised years later was that the shame that I was projecting that they were going to put on me was really the thing I was carrying.
Internal.
And so you have to look at that and from your own sort of internalized shame cycle and escape that for yourself, because then once you realise you're actually, it's an act of love to look after your body,
Yeah.
to go and get checked out and just be there, and you're not going to be judged, you
like
know?
in sexual health, I often, you know, I have to ask people like how many partners you've had in the last year, and I can tell every single time that people are thinking either is my number too high or is it too low, and I keep trying to remind them that I do hundreds of these a year, and frankly I don't remember anything.
No.
If you see me in Kremlin and you're like, oh God, he tested me, don't worry, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I keep my memories for the important stuff.
You barely remember your passcode for your phone, never mind.
I don't. But I think, you know, sexual health, it's so humdrum to us. We literally have heard it all. And I think what I really like about sexual health, as opposed to so many other health services, is because, I think specifically because they worked with the HIV and AIDS crisis, and because they've worked so much with gay and bisexual men and broadly the LGBTQI plus community over the years is that they are by nature tend to be much more inclusive and non-judgmental. I think where the gap is that where I come in sometimes is that I understand like queer culture. I understand that we're not all going to wear condoms when we hook up. I understand that sometimes you're going to a party and maybe you don't even know the name of the people that you're with. I understand that sometimes people might engage in chemsex, and I think sexual health generally kind of has this real view on like harm reduction. The idea is not like how do we stop people from having sex, how do we help people look after their sexual health?
It's taking the shame cycle out of all of that, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what we learned from the HIV and AIDS pandemic was people just refusing to get tested because they lived in a shame cycle over it.
Shame, regret, and guilt have never taught anybody anything. And I think that's why I like existing, because obviously the handy thing about me is that you know 10 minutes later you get your results, huge weight off your shoulders. I give you all the information.
Rip
that
the
your
Band-Aid
teacher-
off.
Yeah. I give you all the information that your teacher should have given you when you were 14. Everything from like, you know, people sometimes ask me how do they use Grindr, and I say don't. It's a hellscape. I say good luck. I might explain to people who are interested, like how would you get started with anal sex, or how do I do sure blah. But also I think for people who feel that shame and feel that judgment from other people, it is a really good introduction to sexual health to be with someone who is like gay with a capital J and has heard it all and is really more for me it's more important that the sex that you're having is consensual, that it's really pleasurable and fun, and that it's as safe as possible. I'm not about like I feel like no one is ever going to hit that gold standard of sexual health. Frankly, I don't even, you know. I do what's best for me and what I'm capable of doing, and I think everyone is more likely to look after themselves if instead of saying you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you say, well, what if you tried this? What if we built it up?
Even, I think, just like I can tell from you talking, it's like conversationally normalizing talking about it with your friends, checking in on each other. You know what I mean? If you're going to talk about the trade you got, then make sure you talk about the aftercare.
You talk about the doxy pep or the pep, or you know. And I think I love working at Rainbow Project. Every day is so different, and I really love my service users. And there is literally no greater joy in life than getting to talk to people about sexual health in a way that, like, you can really see, like, years of shame and guilt falling away from people. And I always laugh with Simon because, you know, the counseling team are incredible, and they'll work with someone for, you know, months, if not multiple times over years, and see changes because they're wonderful people. I spend 30 minutes with someone, they come in, shit scared, they leave, everything's brilliant. You know what I mean? It's a real quick turnaround.
So
It's really
jealous.
High reward,
high reward. And I get to hear about everybody's sex life, and it's like, you know, it's
Jealous.
like Sex in the City girl's life. But I would, the one thing I'd really, you know, because I think, you know, for what I think really interesting about with the LGBTQI plus community is that historically, I think one thing that I think everyone in our community, whether they're young or old, knows is about the HIV and AIDS epidemic, because it was such a massive thing in our community. And I think because of that, we are better placed in some ways than our
Well, that was like the
heterosexual-
whole thing with monkeypox and everything.
Yeah.
Like, that could have been a real shit show.
Damn.
Only I do think that gay men and people having sex went out there and sort of were like, okay, we're...
The sexual health, the public health agency and the gun clinics in Northern Ireland, they would have had coronavirus sorted in 2 days. They are crazy. They are crazy good. But one thing I think is really important to know is that HIV is so different than it was in the 80s and 90s and even the noughties. And have you heard about undetectable yet?
Yes, you equal shit.
Oh, is he?
But talk about it for people that don't know.
Educated. So U equals U. Basically, U equals U means that someone who has undetectable HIV cannot pass it on to somebody else, so it's untransmittable. So when someone takes the medication for HIV, it can limit the HIV in their system so much that it can't go anywhere, it can't pass on. And what's really class about that news is that 97% of people living with HIV in Northern Ireland are undetectable. So I really like talking about undetectable because it means that people are less afraid of getting a test because there's treatment and there's great news.
It takes a little bit of fear away.
It takes a bit of fear away. And also it's important for us to acknowledge that we could end HIV, but also it helps us challenge those outdated things we know about HIV. This thing of like people living with HIV are dangerous to know, to share cutlery with, to hug, to have sex with. It's wrong. So it's very rare that I get to share positive news, barred the pun, but we would. But it is really great news. So it's like my favorite thing to share. I'm basically working to do myself out of a job. That's my plan.
Well, this is my weekly time to bring up EastEnders because they did a really good
They
storyline
did.
with Zach.
We were
He got
warned.
it.
We
He got
warned
it
to be
from-
soaps.
Oh, really?
We were
Yeah,
warned
yeah.
to be soaps.
EastEnders?
Yeah, so he was straight and
Yes.
he got it through needle exchange and doing
Right.
steroids. But then they did the whole thing of him going to get his medication and testing his viral load, and now he's undetectable.
Class.
Which is amazing.
I
Really good.
remember very well EastEnders when I was growing up. It was at Mark had
Fowler,
HIV.
yeah.
Yes, I sometimes at World AIDS Day when I need a little pick me up, I watch
Yeah.
that clip where he's like, "I've got HIV" because it's
Yeah.
so dramatic.
I
It's so
know
dramatic.
That wasn't what killed him. It was Nasty Nick.
Yeah, exactly.
Motorbike.
Fucking what a bastard!
I know.
Really
What a
nasty
bastard.
work.
God. Sorry.
No,
I
it's
talk
okay.
about EastEnders
No, I agree.
every week. It's
No,
my Roman
He
Empire.
has to
so.
get it in somewhere.
I have to take the microphone off him
Yeah.
because he will keep going for half an hour here. But so wanted to ask you just to wrap up then. Favorite icons? Who do you look towards for a little bit of queer trans joy?
Oh my god!
No pressure.
Okay.
Okay, give us
Satan, did you say?
give us one trans icon and one just queer or in this sphere.
So I have what I would consider the patron saint of my trans identity, and that is Lou Sullivan, who is no longer with us. Lou Sullivan is a gay transgender man. He is very well known for probably being one of the first out openly gay men to transition.
Right.
Back when you weren't allowed to transition if you were going to be gay.
That was a thing?
Yeah, because the idea is if you were going to transition, it would only make sense to be straight. Why would someone transition to be something that was wrong and perverted? And,
Iran still actually has that
Oh my
policy in
God.
place today.
I didn't realize this.
The confusion and delusion.
Yeah.
So Lou Sullivan was a founding member of the San Francisco like the archives for the LGBT Society in San Francisco.
Right.
He was he wrote news articles and film reviews and literally wrote the book on being a transgender man. Did something similar to my job, taught other clinicians about gay trans people, and unfortunately he passed away due to HIV complications.
Okay.
Beautiful man, wonderful story. He has a book called We Both Laughed in Pleasure, which is his memoirs from age 8.
Great title.
And one of my favorite, most powerful things that he ever said was he said the gender identity clinic said that he couldn't live life as a gay trans man, but he's going to die like one. So he felt like he won there. So for me, I get a lot of my inspiration from Lou because he was so loving and kind. And also for like the 70s, a really loved man.
70s, wow.
1970s and 80s. So Lou Sullivan's my trans icon and my hero. And
I feel like I've heard of him somewhere along the lines, but I can't place it.
do yourself a favor, Google him.
Right,
Fine,
okay.
hot-looking young man.
Okay.
I hope he's doing well wherever he is because
Yeah.
he's an inspiration of mine. You know, us gay trans guys, we have to stick together.
Yeah.
What about you? What's your icon?
Very different kind of level than maybe the question's intended at, but I have a very formative memory of walking up Royal Avenue
Yeah.
and seeing an older transgender woman. This probably would have been in the very late 90s, early noughties,
Right.
wearing a big black summer dress, dyed red hair, holding a pair of tote bags. Didn't pass. People yelling things at her as she walked up the street. Didn't give a fuck. Didn't turn her head. Just kept walking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No idea who she is. No idea if she's still in Belfast.
Yeah.
But just seeing someone not give a fuck and being themselves regardless.
Tina was very that. She passed recently as well. I remember seeing her in town in the early 2000s, like full sex work, just brazen as you like. And like in similar environment where people just shouting shit and straight on, not occur in the world.
So no idea who she is.
Momentary.
But yeah, just
Yeah.
something in my brain that's what
Wow.
comes up first.
I wonder
And
if we
it's
find out who
stuck.
it was.
That's a bit weird.
No, it's great.
No,
I love
the
that.
Find
fact
her.
that- the fact it's
I love
stuck.
that. Yeah, let's find out if we can. Like, it would be great to sort of figure out who she was. Do you know?
Also had one final question. So to avoid being accused of bi-erasure on the series, because we have failed to get people that identify as bisexual on the show, Leo, you disclosed that.
I've become a token once again.
Yes. So if you would not mind speaking about your experience of bisexuality.
Well, I'd say honestly, I think that I am bisexual. I am bisexual. I'm attracted to more than one gender. It just so happens that recently it's mostly gay men and non-binary people, but I have been with women. But I think for me, I think that I think for me, bisexuality has it was one of the first labels that I really identified with, and I think as I have grown and changed, the label has grown and changed with me. I know I've heard people say things like, you know, it's transphobic to be bisexual because it means you're attracted to only men or women and you're ignoring other genders. And I'm like, that's actually not what the definition is anymore. You know, if I say I'm attracted to all genders, that includes bisexuality. Some people might say that, well, that's pansexuality. But I came out as bisexual in 2004 in Antrim Grammar, which if those of you who've been to Antrim know, it's a evil place for homosexuals. Rough going. So, you know, I have a real affinity for that label, and I think that I think a lot of people these days are really more fond of the word queer, and I probably use it more as well. But, you know, the one that you get the first time around, it just sticks. It just sticks. And I'm not greedy because, as previously mentioned, I have no game. I have no game.
May as well
I
be
have no
asexual.
hoes, no bitches, no mans. I am really representing for the spinster bisexual.
Hypothetical bisexual.
Hypothetical bisexual. The Schrodinger's bisexual, if you will. It depends on who's on Grindr, depending on who I'm attracted to. But yes, I am bisexual, and I am very proud of it.
And he's
but
very ready to date, clearly.
But I would be more proud of it if I had more reason, you know?
Yes,
Like, I
yes.
know your sexual orientation isn't just about, you know, the person that you're with in the bedroom, but at this point, I feel like
You want to be a practitioner.
there's a word sexual in it for a reason. Do you know what I mean? But no,
You're
sometimes
just
I think
valuable. There's no sex in it.
sometimes I think I am bisexual, but I would often refer to myself as culturally homosexual.
Right.
You know, I appreciate a good Kylie Minogue song.
Okay.
I will go to the theater. You know,
Oh,
I
the
will
theater.
I will enjoy a Roman old epic sandals movie where people are just wearing like togas. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm Quentin Crisp homosexual, but I am bisexual by nature. Yeah. So don't worry, folks. The T and the B are
Have
here.
been well
yeah.
wrapped. Well
We've
wrapped.
almost got
Thank
we
you.
almost have the BLT because you not have been a lesbian.
Good with the drill. I know my way around a shelf.
That's true.
I am not bisexual, but I like to think of myself as bisexual, in the sense that as a trans femme person, all my partners have been bisexual.
Right. Okay.
My current partner is bisexual.
Right.
He likes feminine men and plus size women.
Okay.
Bingo.
He is the happiest,
Ding, ding,
the
ding.
happiest man in the world.
Yeah.
Tells me I'm beautiful every day of my life, and that haunts
And
me.
you are, my love.
But
Stan.
the fact that you have to call out, I think, speaks to it. I'm bringing the mood down, actually. But the
Oh,
thing is
speaking
that
up.
potentially the largest group in our community, most of them are closeted. Most of them aren't out. Most of them don't feel comfortable. Some of them are terribly embarrassed and ashamed to be seen as one of us. And I think that's heartbreaking. Like, we are out here with our queer joy, and some of them are dying in their closets.
Yeah.
So
It's hard.
still a lot of work to be done. But shout
We
out,
love you, bisexual.
shout out for the bi kings.
Yes.
Yes.
we love you.
Yay. Yes.
I don't care about that.
Royal.
I think the thing with bisexuals is that they feel like they're going to get ripped Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But
You
like,
do.
to be fair, we rip each other as well.
That's
Do you know
true.
what I mean? So like,
You give as good as you get. You give
Yeah.
as good as you get. I think, you know.
ripping is our love language.
I agree.
okay?
I agree. I definitely must say, like, it is interesting because I have heard from bisexual cisgender men that it's very difficult to be bisexual and date a woman because the women always think that you're gay. And when you're a bisexual woman, everyone just imagines that you're a porn star.
Okay.
You know, and that you're with everybody.
So let's break the myth.
Yeah, but for exactly me, Spencer. But I think what's really interesting for me is that, like, I think where being a bisexual man, everyone automatically believes that I'm bisexual if I tell them. But when I was a woman and I was bisexual, people would be like, "Prove it. Tell me 5 women that you've slept with," and I'd be like, "I can't because I've got no game. I've got no game."
My partner actually made a similar comment in reverse that, like, because my partner's trans, people believe me when I say I'm bi, but if I said I was gay or straight, I'd have to quantify that in some way.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if people look at me and be like, well, it'd fucking have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
There's no other
Buy
explanation.
something.
Something going on there?
Yeah.
Listen, you two, it's been absolutely gorgeous having you on. Thank you
so
for
much for
educating
having us.
us.
Thank you for
for
sharing.
sharing your stories.
Thank you for tolerating us.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the dark humour at this stage.
Iconic.
Yes, you do that because you're better.
Go on, Shawnee.
Yes. So as we have kept saying the whole way through this series, we are raising money throughout this series, showcasing people from the community, but also there's a GoFundMe via our social bios. It'll be linked on our stories. You can donate money, and 50% of it will go to the Rainbow Project, 50% of it will go to Belfast Trans Resource Centre. And then on the Tuesday of Pride Week, the 21st of June, we're hosting a little bit of a live episode.
Well, it can't be a little bit. We're doing
okay,
a live
we're going
show.
all out.
It's live or
We're
it's
trying
not.
to dull it down. to
We're
lower
doing a live show in Union Street.
Yes.
We haven't organised
Line up
it
to be
all
confirmed.
yet. Line up to be confirmed, but it's going to be a fab
I'm frantically
night.
working in the background with these two dictate.
Yes.
That's basically what's happening.
You're gonna have to tone down the slurs.
There will be
I'm gonna-
drag. there'll be-
Anthony's going to get his
Censor
pronouns
them in
in
real
order
time.
by then. But yes, we'll have entertainment. We'll have little mini interviews, the best of Tootsie Trade. We'll be bringing people from every part of the community, people from charities, all of our best friends,
It's a
pillars
night
of
of
the community,
celebration.
business reps.
It's basically why we wanted to do it, was to pull all the aspects of the community together and do something in Pride Week. So, and also do a bit of good in the world. So tickets are £5. It's on the Tuesday. It's on in Union Street, and we will be sharing more about it on socials as well.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget, keep donating, okay? I know this will probably be quite later on in the lineup of podcasts, but it's getting closer to Pride, so now's the time. Empty your pockets.
Yes.
And thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye. Boots. We're all fruit on Tootsie Trade.